All right, let's talk about something that's probably tripped you up in SAP at least once. You set up a selection variant, you run it, and the results are, well, not what you expected. Either you get way too much data or almost nothing at all. It almost always comes down to this one fundamental thing, the hidden logic of and versus or. Today, we're going to crack that code. So this is really the heart of the matter, right? You pop in a business partner and a document number. Are you asking SAP for that specific document that belongs only to that partner? Or are you asking for, anything related to that partner or anything related to that document number? The results are going to be wildly different. And the secret to controlling it is actually way simpler than you might think. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the super simple basics of what this choice even means. Then, I'll reveal the one rule you really need to remember. After that, we'll see it play out in a couple of real-world SAP examples. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a master key that'll have you tackling any selection screen with confidence. Okay, before we even touch SAP, let's just get back to basics. This is all about two incredibly simple but powerful words, and versus or. Getting a feel for how they work universally is really step one. Think about it like you're ordering breakfast. If you ask for eggs and bacon, you expect to see both on your plate. If one is missing, the order's wrong. And is restrictive. It narrows things down. But if you ask for eggs or bacon, getting either one makes you happy. Or is inclusive. It opens up the possibilities and broadens your results. Simple, right? So how does SAP handle this? You might be digging around for a little checkbox somewhere that says use and logic or use or logic, but you're probably not going to find one. Instead, the system makes its decision based on a single, really elegant principle that's used all over the place. And here it is. This is the big aha moment. The secret is in the layout itself. It's not about what you type in. It's about where you type it. The way you visually group your criteria on the screen is literally what tells SAP whether to use and or to use or. So let's be clear on what we mean by grouping. In the world of SAP selection screens, it's just the container for your rules. Sometimes that container is a horizontal line you type on. Other times, it's something called a sequence number. But either way, the principle is identical. The logic all depends on whether your criteria are inside the same group or spread across different groups. All right, enough theory. Let's make this real. We'll jump into our first example, looking at payment and check lots, where this whole grouping thing is super visual and really easy to see. So take a look at this screen. See those horizontal rows? Each one is its own line, its own little world. That is our grouping mechanism here. You can put a business partner and a contract account on the same line, or you could use a second line for a different entry. This layout is everything. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is pulled straight from the SAP documentation. It perfectly lays out the rule. Everything on the same line gets connected with and. Each separate line gets connected to the others with or. It's really that clean. So let's play this out. If you put a business partner and a contract account on the exact same line, you're building an and rule. You're telling the system, hey, only find me stuff that matches this partner and this account. But if you put that business partner on line 1 and then maybe a document number on line 2, you've just created an or. The system will now find everything for that partner or everything for that document, a much wider net. Okay, so that example was pretty visual. Lines are easy to see. But what happens when the screen layout isn't so linear? Let's check out Convergent invoicing, where the exact same rule is at play, but the grouping looks a little different. In this corner of SAP, the magic word is sequence number. Instead of typing on different lines, you build little rules, and you assign them to a sequence number, like rule number 1, rule number 2, and so on. That number is now our grouping container, and it works just like the lines did, just with a little more depth. Let's just walk through this table because it makes it all clear. Row 1, if you list a bunch of values for the same field, say 3 different billable item types, all under the same sequence number, that's an or. The system will grab items of type A or type B or type C. Now look at row 2 for the and. If you combine different fields, like one billable item type and one source transaction type, under that same sequence number, you get an and. Super specific. And finally, row 3. If you build 2 totally separate rules, one in sequence number 1 and another in sequence number 2, the system links those entire rule blocks with an or. It's going to find anything that matches rule 1 or anything that matches rule 2. This little diagram here just helps you visualize what we're talking about. You can see how these different attributes, like the billable item type and source transaction type, are separate pieces of the puzzle. Being able to combine them within a single sequence number is what lets you build these incredibly precise rules to control exactly what gets billed. So we've seen this rule of grouping in 2 different flavors now. Let's bring it all home and forge a master key, a simple way of thinking that shows why getting this concept is so incredibly important for your day-to-day work. It's really just a 3-step thought process. First, whenever you see a selection screen, just ask yourself, what's the grouping mechanism here? Is it lines? Is it sequence numbers? Something else? Step 2, if you want to get really specific and narrow your search, you combine different kinds of criteria into the same group for an and. And step 3, if you want to broaden your search, you either stack up multiple options for the same field, or you build completely separate rules in different groups for an or. And why is this such a big deal? Well, first, precision. You can find exactly what you're looking for without digging through a mountain of irrelevant data. That helps prevent huge errors, like processing way too many items or, worse, missing critical ones. It helps you build powerful and reusable variants that just make life easier. But honestly, the biggest thing is confidence. Once you get this core principle, you can walk up to almost any selection screen and figure it out, because you understand the logic. You're not just trying to remember a bunch of random settings. So the master key is just this: structure dictates logic. Now that you've seen how grouping defines the outcome in these 2 spots, the real question to ask yourself is, where else in your system is a simple, powerful rule like this one just hiding in plain sight? Thanks for tuning in.